Oh, dang it. Shoot. Oh, missed it. Hey everybody, Mark with Cardivox Academy here, and this is a video that I've been wanting to put up for quite some time. It's Sunday, so that means I'm chock full of lessons almost the entire day, which is really fun. Actually, I really look forward to Sundays every week, but I've got a quick break between lessons, and I wanted to talk about something that is pretty common amongst all my students, maybe not all of them, but most of them, especially my new students. And I want to kind of give you some insight so that if you're just starting, or even if you've done vocals for a long time, but you've hit some sort of wall that you can't get past, I want to give you some insight and some tips into how to circumvent that and, you know, maybe avoid any bad habits. But first, it's time. So I want to take a quick second and I want to talk about something pretty cool. I want to talk about Raid Shadow Legends. As you can see from the footage here, first of all, it looks awesome. Like, one of the things I enjoy most about this game is the graphics. It's not super cutesy, right? First of all, the graphics look awesome. There are like tons of detail in the attacks and the spells, and it's kind of gritty. It's a little bit darker, but it's still fun and friendly. Second of all, the combat's turn-based. I love turn-based combat. I mean, I've been gaming since I was a kid. Turn-based combat has always been some of my favorite combat, and you don't really get a lot of good turn-based combat these days, so having that option, you know, on the go in a mobile game is pretty cool. The next thing I like about it is it's not just a button masher. Like, I'll be honest, I downloaded it originally kind of just for something to do, and then as I got into it, I was like, oh, there's actually some strategy going on here. You have to think about what you're doing. All right, so these are my two heroes here. Now, one thing I want you to pay attention to are those arrows above their head. So there's something called affinity attacks or affinity skills, right? And so if those arrows were green, it would mean that this character and the abilities that I have are going to do extra damage. I'm going to have a higher chance to crit. If they're red, it means that it's not the strongest matchup. I might want to try something different. Yellow here means that it's neutral. So this is my wizard here, and as you can see, I've got 3 abilities. Let's go ahead. This one is cool. I'll show you this one. So he throws around some poison damage. Boom. See? Nice area of effect. This guy's got some poison going on. And then we're going to switch over to our archer. She automatically attacks back. That's an ability that she has. It's really cool. Part of the reason I like having her around. You know, she'll auto attack. Now here's another example of the strategy I was talking about. Not only is it like, you know, turn-based combat, but there are buffs and debuffs. I got to work with the fact that she's stunned right now. I don't need to use an area of effect attack because there's only one guy left. So let's go ahead, and if I hold over that, you can see some stacks. It attacks an enemy. It has an 80% chance of doing some poison. So this really isn't a button masher. There's some strategy going on. Let's go ahead and do this. Boom. And we're done. So that's a little insight into the combat that you can get with Raid Shadow Legends. Super fun. Boss fights, PvP, arena mode, storyline. Check it out. So my username, my profile ID in Raid Shadow Legends is, no surprise, Cardivox. There's PvP, there's single player, there's a really cool story that you can play along through, so, you know, give it a try. It's completely free, doesn't cost you anything. If you don't like it, you can certainly get rid of it, but I downloaded it and thought it was a lot of fun. You should give it a shot. It's pretty cool. Sometimes I'll do it between lessons, sometimes I'll play if, you know, Nico's tracking or Alex is tracking and I just have a little bit of time before I do vocals, so it's great. It's something cool to have, it's fun on the go. Raid Shadow Legends, check it out. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into it. So these are 5 things that I have noticed that students, especially new students, but even some, you know, more hardened veteran types of students will run into that'll kind of hold them back. Bad habits that honestly sometimes take 1 or 2 lessons just to train out of them. The first one, and one of the biggest ones, is what I call shot in the dark practice. Essentially what that means is, let's say you're trying to get your low tone, your nice, solid, distorted low tone. But you're having some trouble. Maybe the resonance isn't where it needs to be. Maybe your distortion is sitting a little bit low in your throat. Well, shot in the dark practice is when you do this. Oh, dang it. Shoot. Oh, missed it. You see how rather than stopping and thinking about what I did wrong, I just kept hitting it over and over and over and over again without stopping to think what was going on? That's actually a big thing that I run into. Sometimes I'll get a new student in a lesson and they're excited. This is built on excitement, and I love that. It means they're ready to go, they're excited to learn, and they want to do the hard work. However, it also means it's going to be hard for them to learn because not only are they going to get dizzy from basically forcing themselves to hyperventilate, but they're also going to be just running at it full bore without taking some time to stop and think about what's going on. So if you're having some trouble with your practice, stop and think, attempt the scream you're going for, or if you're a singer, attempt that high note, attempt that vibrato, attempt that, soft palate raising. And if it doesn't work, stop and think, what did I do wrong? What could I do better? What didn't feel right? All right, now the next thing is pretty obvious. You've heard about it before, but it is so incredibly important. Skipping the basics. Don't do it. Listen, I'll tell you from experience. I'll put myself on the line here. When I first started screaming, I didn't want to do breathing. I didn't want to do resonance. I didn't want to think about distortion. I just wanted to be a real cool guy behind a microphone. And I hurt myself. That's right. I blew out my vocal folds. This is going back maybe 6 or 7 years. But the point is, I didn't think about how my breath and my scream were going to interact. And so I just ran at it full bore. I was in the middle of practice, in front of Nico. Chris, who was our bassist at the time, only knew him a little bit. Not only was it embarrassing, it made it so I couldn't sing or scream for like 2 weeks. So listen, I know it's not fun. I know it's not glamorous. I know it doesn't make you feel like your favorite vocalist that's out there. But take some time. Before you practice, work on breathing. Make sure your resonance is calibrated. Make sure everything feels right. Make sure you understand how to hold your ribs out, how to use your diaphragm to mitigate your airflow, how to have consistent airflow. Those things are, I won't say more important, but fundamental to all those cool sounds that we're trying to make. Now that actually leads me into my next point, and this is kind of maybe not controversial, but it's a little bit tricky to talk about. One thing that I think holds people back is trying to sound like someone else. Now, I don't mean that you shouldn't be inspired by some of your favorite vocalists, and I don't mean that you shouldn't listen to their songs and, as long as you can safely do it, try to mimic the things that they do. That's not what I mean at all. What I mean is having a mindset that you are only good if you sound exactly like them, and that prevents you from finding your own voice. I think the most satisfying thing for any new or experienced vocalist is for somebody to hear a track randomly and say, I know who that is. That's that vocalist. I think that that's what, all of my students and all of you should really shoot for. Yes, take inspiration from your favorite vocalists, but make your goal not to emulate them, but to use them as inspiration to find your own voice, which I guarantee is going to be way more unique. Okay, this next one is a big one, a very, very big one, and that is ignoring your body. Now look, I know that when you go to the gym or you're on a jog or, you're working out in some capacity, there's a point where you have to push through the pain, maybe not the pain, but you have to push through that burn a little bit to get your muscles to build up, to get that endurance, to get stronger. And so sometimes people will come into a lesson with me, and I can see that they're just getting a little bit tired. Their vocal folds are safe because they're with me, but they're getting a little bit tired, and I say like, hey, you need to take a break? You want to take 5 minutes to just talk about some video games or tell me about your day? And I can see in their eyes, I can see behind their eyes that they feel like if they say, yes, I need a break, they're somehow messing up. It's the exact opposite. If you need a break, take a break. Who are you trying to prove yourself to? Nobody. Listen, never with metal vocals, singing, but especially metal vocals, never feel like you need to push through the burn or push through the pain. If you're taking time every day to practice and practice well, that's what you need. That's enough. You don't have to impress anybody by being super strong or super tough. Practicing right is better than practicing more. Quality over quantity. All right, and the last thing I want to talk about is the way that we treat ourselves when we're learning. So there is a lot of science, and I'm not going to be able to get into it in this video, but there's a lot of science that the way that we talk to ourselves has a huge impact on the way our body expresses itself, even physically. So I have had students who, in the middle of a lesson, they kind of beat themselves up, they get down on themselves, and that mindset, I understand. You're here to learn a skill. You want to learn something new. You're excited about what you're going to learn, but it's a process, it's a journey, and the fact that maybe you're not there today is a little bit frustrating, and you blame yourself for that. Well, here's what your mindset should be. Your mindset shouldn't be, oh, I'm trying so hard and not getting there. Your mindset should be, I'm trying really hard, and that's what's going to get me there. Listen, there's no fast track for vocals. There's no fast track for singing or for screaming. Some people are naturally talented at it and they're gonna pick it up right away. Other people need a little bit more work. But the way to get there is through hard work, through practice, and through dedication. So the next time you wanna beat yourself up for not being where you want, instead congratulate yourself for taking the time to practice. Say, you know what? Yeah, I'm a little bit discouraged, but rather than stopping, I took 15 minutes out of my day. I took 20 minutes out of my day. I took an hour out of my day. Only practice an hour if you're safe to do it. But I took that time out of my day to move over that, to get past that, to push through it. I wouldn't be where I was today if it wasn't for Nico, the guitarist of Kardashev, telling me that I needed to push myself. Again, not through the pain, but through my own emotional baggage of beating myself up. I remember one day we were in the studio and I was trying to hit a low and I just couldn't do it. This was for our very first demo progression. And he said, listen, man, you can do it. You just have to honestly believe in yourself and try. It took a couple times, but I did it. Anyways, I just wanted to put that out there for you folks because I know sometimes what it's like to be practicing by yourself, not really know if your practice is working for you. And, you know, I want to try to help avoid inadvertently training any bad habits in your head so that, you know, if you do jump in a lesson or if you're learning on your own, you know exactly where you need to go and you can get the most efficient work done as possible. Anyways, that's all for this video. If you're trying to learn metal vocals, do your best, keep at it. You can totally do it. Feel free to jump into the Carterbox Academy Facebook community page. It's a lot of fun. You can get tips. You can vote on videos. Also, check out Raid Shadow Legends. Legit, it's fun. Links below. My username's in there. We can hang out. But beyond that, many thanks, much love. I'm out.